Michael, you were able to listen to Pal's great improvised semi-presentation of your presentation.
Not much, unfortunately.
He's given a bit of a general outline of Launch and Propel and SEFA, but I think it will be interesting if you can drive us through your presentation, but probably going a bit faster in the initial phase, and then insisting on the tools that were developed and what the SEFA will be about. And now we can see you also. So,
okay, great.
Without further ado, Michael Patlako, he's the director of Dual Assets Europe, and he's going to say a bit more in a few seconds.
Thank you very much, Adrian, and thank you to the organizers.
So, let's say you have 20. Let's say you have 20 minutes. Sorry, and then I'll tell you in 20 minutes, and then you'll have to close in 2 or 3 minutes because that leaves a bit of time for questions and answers, and we'll be late anyway.
Very good. Yeah, thanks a lot. I really regret not to be there in person with you. That probably would have avoided also some additional technical hiccups. I would like to share with you some of the key insights and learnings today from our work over the last years. I'm sure Pali has already alluded to some of our previous projects. I think we can all recognize that our work is ever more relevant. Energy efficiency is officially Europe's first fuel. And we are not only facing a climate crisis today, we are facing a socio-economic crisis with skyrocketing energy prices and a real energy security crisis since February this year with the war in Ukraine. I will be a bit quick on these slides. Am I in control of the slides, just to double check? Is that are the slides changing now for you?
Yeah, I think you're controlling the slides. Are you?
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. So real quick, this journey I want to take you on today starts 7 years ago with a first project that we have coordinated under Horizon 2020, really looking at a standardized process, how to facilitate energy efficiency finance for small-sized projects, how to be able to introduce those to suitable finance sources, and how to offer this service on an IT platform. This IT platform is called EQuad. It allows for standardized project processing. It basically translates technical data of project opportunities, renovation projects, retrofits, the translation of those technical data into financial data. So EQuad produces a financial pro forma. It allows the matchmaking with investors, and it acts as some sort of pre-due diligence for the financiers. However, when we have developed this EQuad platform, and we have run around 200 million euros worth of projects through it, we still realized we had a lot to improve. The success rate of successful deal closures with third-party financiers was still historically low, in the 5–10%, and not really increasing significantly. What we then realized was really that we had a great momentum with having worked in the SEFA project with project developers, with financiers, and we really wanted to bring them to our launch project that we then proposed to the European Commission to develop standardized collateral. So not only a standardized process on a platform, but really a standardized contract, a risk assessment protocol, and other sales and marketing materials that are really easy to use, easy to apply in different contexts, and well accepted and valued by the whole industry, both on the side of project developers and also on the side of financial institutions. We have run the launch project from 2019 to 2021. You see all the partners outlined here below. And these are just some of the key materials that we have developed in this project. And it was a real learning curve for us. And what was particularly helpful was to have feedback loops in co-creating materials, bringing them to stakeholders practitioners in the field, having them test and validate those. And as this whole launch project, to a large extent at least, fell into the pandemic, it was an additional challenge to engage with the stakeholders virtually, almost exclusively, and still get these materials applied in real life projects and really test them on the ground with opportunities. A quick word on the impact that we've had with this launch project. We've engaged hundreds of stakeholders across Europe. We had pilots running in several European countries. Particularly relevant was an investor board that we created with more than 20 financial funds and banks and institutional investors, with several billion euros worth of assets under management, that really joined us as some sort of advisory board, right? They helped us co-create these standardized materials. They helped validate, and they really were there as well for some of the pilot projects that we were able to introduce to them to open their pockets and really finance them. So some of the key impact figures you see here on the slide, we had supported the processing of a total of 150 million worth of investments in the launch project. A couple of million euros of project deals were closed in the course of the project, and around 30 million were still in process at the end of the project just about a year ago. Now, in the course, just to give you a couple of case studies of these pilots, what types of projects are we talking about here? These are just three case studies from three of our pilot sites. And it shows that various materials, various standardized tools that we had developed really had success in developing, designing, and closing such project opportunities. First, a lighting as a service company in the UK, who was able to propose an off-balance sheet lighting as a service solution, and really including project sizes that would otherwise, as single opportunities, just not qualify for third-party finance. They were in the range of 50 to 100,000 pounds, but they were able to aggregate those with those standardized materials, standardized contractual terms, standardized risk assessment, and close a framework agreement over 5 million pounds with one of our investors in our network. Another example of the application of the off-balance sheet contract that Polly surely has alluded to before is the e-mobility as a service example. In Germany, working together with a company who develops or retrofits buses and trucks with batteries. This company has run pilots both in the public and the private sector. And it was a real interesting example to see this off-balance sheet as a service contract applied also in different sectors and with a different technology. Finally, the heating as a service example. This was a 6 million euro pilot in Greece, applied to an industrial context, a solar thermal application for a brewery. So you can see there is a geographical and technological diversity here. What we have, however, really appreciated along this process is the great support from the whole set of stakeholders that we could engage with, and that we could really feel that we were making an impact with those standardized materials. We had addressed several of the key barriers we saw at the outset of launch: the project size barrier, the risk transparency that was often not there, also the debt burden, especially also now with the pandemic and the economic turmoil it created. We see the off-balance sheet solution as a key additional value that we can bring to the sector. So we've come a long way, and we have clearly evolved over these years in these projects. so has the industry. When we look at the financial industry, we see that there are new demands that have been coming to the surface over the last years in terms of ESG, environmental and social and governance criteria, and also KYC, know your customer, compliance checks. These new demands are even more important now in times of supply chain crises and sanctions. So we have an increased need for transparency of where the supplies originate from, and also what the ownership structure of those internationally operating companies are. These were some of the key elements that we saw we needed to add to our launch set of materials. And that is why we proposed to the European Commission the Propel project that we currently run with pretty much the same consortium. So we have added a few more modules to the tool set, and a KYC template, an ESG template, also a standardized loan application guideline, looking to expand our network of financial institutions also to include more retail banks. We are running, similar to launch, a capacity building program. So we have, again, this feedback loop, this circular process that really helps us ensure real value of the materials that we develop. And we have the same key challenge as already in launch, to find the middle way between those materials we bring to the sector that we believe has real value, and at the same time making sure that we are not creating an overkill of compliance checks and questionnaires and all sorts of burden for the practitioners. So we have to create solutions that are user-friendly, that are adapted to the actual project opportunities and the settings where they should be applied. So that is the key challenge. And what we therefore understood really what was needed was an IT solution, a platform that really hosts all of these materials, that allows the platform users to access those standardized materials, that integrates these different modules as well to the extent possible, and that allows for easy replication across different projects. It allows also to have several language versions of these materials available. It also directly integrates with the EQuad platform that I mentioned earlier. So we have a real end-to-end process built on this digital member access platform. Just a quick screenshot of this. This platform now exists. We are a bit more than halfway through in the Propel project. All these materials have been digitalized. They are available on the platform and ready for testing by the end of this month. What we really see as a key asset over those years is how we were able to reach more and more stakeholders across Europe. We have currently 4 target countries in Propel: Belgium, the Netherlands, Spain, and Italy. We are collaborating with national channel partners, associations, to help bring these materials to those target countries, educate stakeholders, engage with interested counterparties, and also really accommodate local and national specificities where appropriate. We have our materials translated into 7 languages by now. They are available for 11 countries. So these 4 target countries is really just a first set where we are giving particular focus, but we are very open to accommodate also projects and stakeholders from other countries beyond that. Now, through this work in these projects, we really had one question that became just more and more dominant. How do we ensure the long-term impact and success of this work? We had created a real momentum here. We do, however, face the same key challenges as so many other projects and initiatives do. And that is that there is rarely a long-term institutionalized solution for results, for outputs that such EU-funded projects and initiatives generate. Often they act more or less in a silo. I mean, in the pandemic, that was probably even a bit more the case because there was less exchange between projects and across the continent for obvious reasons. So what we really felt was a key aspect we wanted to tackle in Propel was to ensure a long-term, sustainable, institutionalized solution that keeps these materials alive, takes them into the future, keeps them up to date, translates them further where necessary, provides training on those to what will be members of the Sustainable Energy Finance Association. So on this journey now, I have walked you through a number of European initiatives, but really the latest Propel initiative is the one that acts as the incubator of the SEFA Association. We are very grateful for the trust and commitment that the European Commission has shown over the last 6 years, granting close to 5 million euros worth of grant money. And we really feel that we are now ready to incorporate all of these learnings, all of these processes, all of these materials into a longer lasting ecosystem that will support the growth and development of sustainable energy finance beyond the Propel project. There is for us no better way than to institutionalize this set of solutions and services because we feel there needs to be a different, a new entity bigger than any of the consortium, individual consortium partners that really gets engaged, that really takes on all of the IP and carries this work forward into the future. A quick word on SEFA. We see SEFA as the non-profit industry group that represents all the voices in Europe's sustainable energy sector. We see its primary objective to scale up and accelerate energy efficiency initiatives in the built environment. This will potentially grow also to include industrial applications, transport applications, as I have already alluded to the versatility of the types of tools that we have developed. The primary focus is on the built environment, and it is the key target of SEFA to enable its members to seamlessly deploy more and better sustainable energy initiatives. We will provide a holistic resource center. This is the digital access platform I mentioned already, with all the standardized collateral and materials ready for members to deploy. We will create the pathways for successful deal closure, acting as a pre-qualifying entity, quality assuring project developers and their pipelines, and ensuring matchmaking and introduction of sustainable energy projects. It is really an ecosystem that we look to create here, where, and I get here to a next slide, where at the core of this ecosystem, we have members of SEFA. This will include project developers such as energy service companies, contractors. This will include property managers, facility managers, building owners, be it from the public administration or commercial built environment or from the industry. It will include technology manufacturers as well. And all of those members will be able to access the same standard SEFA collateral, the same training and networking opportunities, but particularly for those members who have project pipelines where they seek third-party finance for, we have the access to finance ensured in this ecosystem by taking on those finance partners that we have now engaged with for years in the various projects, and really take them on a goodwill basis, so to say. I mean, SEFA will not act in any commercial way towards these finance partners, will have no vested interest in other than making project investments happen for its members. So the finance partners will really act as the carrot for members to join us who really seek to accelerate their deal closure. And in turn, obviously, finance partners will be attracted by this conduit that we build here of project pipeline, of project opportunity that will come their way, that is pre-qualified, that is basically matching their investment criteria in terms of risk, location, technology, size, return, and et cetera, et cetera. Outside of this core part, we see sponsors and advocacy partners that we collaborate with across Europe and beyond, who will support us in creating the association and letting it grow from its infancy. But also very important, we see the channel partners as core to have traction in the individual member states. So this will include local and regional authorities, energy agencies, national associations of ESCOs, property developers, real estate funds. These channel partners will really make SEFA the pan-European resource center that we look to create here. We will have capacity building programs on local level, support in tendering procedures for sustainable energy projects with local and regional authorities. We can create regional and national roundtables to discuss policies, exchange on best practices, and learn from across the sector. This is really the ecosystem, the overall cluster of all the stakeholders, how we see that they will engage with SEFA into the future. A quick word just on building owners and what benefits SEFA would bring to those. They are manifold. Clearly, there are financial benefits such as access to low-cost capital, or the fact that with no upfront investments, sustainable energy projects can be brought forward. We have clearly reduced energy costs and CO2 emissions, an off-balance sheet solution where appropriate, and enhanced building value. We also have non-energy benefits, right, that we are all aware of, air quality, health benefits in buildings, and surrounding supporting factors such as reduction in legal and administrative costs, an acceleration of decision-making processes, enhanced risk transparency and quality control in tender processes, and assurance of a third-party entity on project design and service delivery.
Michael, you have 2 minutes left, and then we need to move to questions and answers.
Thank you. Yeah, I will get to my final slides. This is a real quick outlook on the timeline and next steps over the next few months. We are running this Propel capacity building program in the first 4 target countries now. We will incorporate SEFA in November this year and have our first General Assembly in December. In the meantime, we are growing the network of finance partners, bringing them on board in these weeks and months that follow. 2023 will be the official first year for SEFA members. So we will sign up SEFA members as of January and launch the SEFA Association in Brussels in March 2023. So you will hear more about this very soon. Final slide. How can you get engaged with the SEFA ecosystem? First of all, if that works through the screen, you can obviously sign up to a mailing list and stay informed on all the developments and latest materials and activities that we are undertaking. We do have standardized materials and training materials available now in English, Italian, and Spanish. For you to get a first idea, how do these materials work, the risk assessment protocol, the standardized contract, ESG, and so on. As I mentioned before, at the end of this month, the SEFA platform will be ready for testing. So you can sign up with a test user account free of charge. This is really before we open it up to official membership that we do want to bring on platform testers to our platform. If you do have real life projects to test the materials with, we are more than happy to support you with our expertise and network of financial partners. And wherever you place yourself in the ecosystem, I showed you before, as a member, finance partner, sponsor, channel partner, we'd be very happy to have a discussion with you, see how best we could collaborate in this ecosystem and have real impact going forward. Thank you very much for your attention. Apologies for being a bit brief here and there. Maybe the presentation can be made available as well afterwards, and I happily answer any question you might have.
All right, thanks a lot, Michael. So I think Michael can hear me, but the mic is not working here, so I'll speak louder. So I think that was a really great presentation of what can be done to simplify the investment process for a very different type of investment here, but really looking at commercial buildings, how we can make it easy for financiers to finance project, for project developers to have a project that a financier can understand, because in most cases they don't understand what it's about. How we can simplify also for the building owner. So it's about really creating an ecosystem that supports investments in energy efficiency. Do we have questions in the room? If you want to know what also Sustainable Energy Finance Association, what's in for you, please go ahead. Wow, I see no. Yes, please, Reinhard. Wait, so you need to take the mic, actually.
No, very interesting presentation. Thank you very much. I wanted to come back to the questions we discussed when you were not online. It was on off-balance sheet aspects. So to which extent really you went into the details in order to make available solutions which will be really then off balance? Because I think this is very crucial, especially for companies, because they don't want to bother really very often with energy efficiency, maybe more because of the electricity and gas prices. But before they did not bother, and they wanted to have a solution all in one, more or less, and saying, well, you do it and I get a discount on my energy bill. So how much into detail did you went also in relation to the requirements by this international finance, IFRS, I think is the abbreviation.
Yep.
To be in line with the requirements of also from the company, from the end user, if I may say so, perspective. For him, it's really off balance. So there's no surprises in the end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you very much. I am no accounting specialist and also not a specialist on the contract, but what I can tell you is that we went into a lot of detail, really ensuring thoroughly that this solution that we brought forward is compliant with IFRS 16. This is the article or the rules around operating leases and when does something really qualify as truly off balance sheet. And there are aspects in there such as handing over the ownership of the equipment at the end of the lifetime, or what happens with in case something fails, who is responsible to replace it. The way our contract is designed is that it is purely an output oriented contract. So we are dealing with lumen per square meter or centigrades per cubic meter. So we are not proposing energy savings as such in this contract, but we are ensuring an output that a client can pay for without owning the equipment, right? So a very simple example as a kind of how this works in another context, the Xerox model, right, with the printer, where you pay for the output, which is the printed papers, and you're not ever paying for the printer itself or leasing it. This is simply just the means for achieving a certain output, and you have a temporary machine or so placed in your office, and it can easily be replaced if it gets broken. But what you really pay for is the output. And we have checked this contract for compliance with IFRS 16 with a global audit firm who actually gave us the positive opinion that it is indeed compliant on that front. And happy to obviously connect you with the real experts in our consortium to take this discussion also further. Yeah.
Thank you. Do we have more questions in the room? Yeah, so online we have quite, so I think there's one question, I think, in the end from Giulia Conforto. In any of these projects, you also list banks, investors, and financial institutions that so far have engaged in financing energy efficiency projects. Do you think that would be possible and beneficial to collect the banks that are familiar with financing such investments? Michael?
We see a particular challenge to engage with banks. Not even so much because the knowledge isn't there, but it is probably more compartmentalized and sits with an impact investing unit and not really with your around the corner bank branch where you might go to ask for a loan, right? And so that disconnect we feel in large financial institutions such as retail banks. It was a really interesting and fruitful process to engage with a number of those banks now in Propel, creating this standardized loan application, having exchange on ESG and KYC, because we really feel that this segment of the financial industry needs to step up as well, and has particular challenges in financing such what they probably still consider more exotic solutions. But there we feel we can have an even bigger impact with the standardized processes as we have developed them and market tested them to really bridge this communication gap, bridge this knowledge gap. And we feel capacity building is there clearly also happening on the financial institution side and not so much only on the project developers.
So in other words, if I go to the bank and ask for a mortgage or a car loan, they know what it's like and they can tell me what to do. But if I go and ask if I'm a project developer and I go to the bank around the corner, they just won't talk to me. And so they basically need you to make this work of transformation of an exotic project into a financial product that they can invest in. Now, my question maybe to you is this in the end will need to happen very much at the national level for in particular banks and investors. They work very much still at a national level. How do you evaluate the critical size of those investments? You know, what is the pipeline that you need to have for an investor to be really able to say, okay, well, this investment I'm making is the same as the 5 ones before or as the 100 investments before? How do you evaluate basically the learning curve effect?
Yeah. There is clearly a distinction between various players in the financial industry, but we have seen the minimum threshold come down even in the last 5 years, right? Previously, anything beyond €1 million or €2 million would just simply not qualify. It would create too much overhead costs. It would be too costly to go through due diligence on every bespoke individual project. So we see a clear advantage here that we can bring down this minimum threshold and really finance projects, individual projects of 50, 60, 80,000 euros if they can be aggregated and they can with these standardized materials and processes to at least maybe $500,000, right, worth of a pipeline. What is important for a financial institution, the specialized energy efficiency or renewable energy funds, but also the banks, is to see pipeline beyond what is currently at hand, right? So that they know that once they have taken the leap of faith and engage with a counterparty, that it is serious potential to go forward and do more of the same deals. And the initial starting threshold is coming down. It is still prohibitive. 500,000 is, easier said than done. But we really see a great potential in the aggregation of small opportunities to reach that threshold and have a conversation.
Thanks. Maybe another question would be, for a building owner that wants to have investments, or maybe an asset owner that has a lot of buildings, what's the entry for them into your ecosystem? How do they approach you? How do you support them? What's the story for them?
Mm-hmm. That indeed is. It can be very different. We have large firms who own assets, be it in real estate or in industry, who approach us and would like to have access to the materials and help in the process in applying these standardized materials with their existing network of contractors, right, who will eventually do the work. So those will not necessarily be energy service companies. These will be even technology manufacturers who have the right and suitable technology, but it is for the end client there important to have tried and tested materials to access low-cost capital. With public administration, it's a bit different. We can definitely support in the tendering process, and again, helping in the capacity building, bringing these standardized materials and making sure that a minimum risk transparency, standardized contractual terms are respected in the process. In the real estate industry, we see the asset owners, the real estate funds, clearly as a key partner. They look to green their building stock, to be compliant with ESG as well, to have improved asset value, but also at no additional cost, and ideally with not too much work. So what we try there is to approach the property managers who manage those assets on behalf of the asset owners, and work with these property owners to, again, have our standardized processes and materials be disseminated, be included in the process when those property managers work with their fulfillment community, with the contractors, the installers, and that is where we see that we can be of great support, and it is a key membership category as well that we target for the SEFA Association.
Okay. Unless, is there a last question in the room? No? Then I think it's it's time for lunch. Can we have a last round of applause for Michael Pachlatko? Thanks a lot. So Michael, I think there's about 40 people in the room, and they were, I think, quite interested to listen to you. So if you've got any questions, you've got the contact information here. Don't hesitate. And thanks a lot, Michael. We'll see what's coming up with SEFA. Then next meeting will be in March.
Great. Thanks again, Adrian. Thank you all in the room, and have a great day. Yep.
Thank you. So next is lunch, and sessions resume at 1:30. Sorry for the delay, but I think that was it.